Hey, how you doing? My name is Ryan, and today I'm making some major upgrades to my LEGO room, including new lights, new equipment, and finally protecting my sets and minifigures from one of the greatest dangers facing collections worldwide: small, hyperactive children. I am finally toddler-proofing my LEGO room to make it accessible to kids of all ages. To pull off this feat, I'm using protective acrylic sheets, some custom cases from FantasMall for my larger sets, and by the end of this video, I'll put all of these upgrades to the ultimate test by unleashing my toddler in the LEGO room to cause as much damage as she possibly can, or hopefully in this case, can't. You see, in the past couple of months, my kid has become curiouser and curiouser about this room, as it's really the only room in the house she hasn't explored yet, and for good reason. LEGO sets are fragile and easily breakable, and LEGO pieces themselves are major choking hazards. Now, if you notice, one of my reasons is protecting my child, the other one is protecting my Legos, and I don't want to end up like the dad from the Lego movie, where I am locking her out of a room for fear of damage she might cause. In fact, I would love to be able to build side by side with my child, her with her Duplo blocks and me with my larger sets, but in order to make that dream a reality, I have some work to do. So let's start off with these cube organizers, which technically are covered by a sheet of acrylic, but this sheet is not going to protect from much. It's barely a 1/16 of an inch thick. Any amount of pressure you put on it will cause it to bend and perhaps even snap. I'm going to upgrade these sheets with something a bit more substantial and something that can be actually affixed to the cube itself. Currently I use magnets, and that's just not good enough anymore. The new sheets I'm using are a 1/4 inch thick, and these things are hefty. Now, I don't want to lock myself out of these cube organizers. I want to be able to take the acrylic sheets on and off as I please to add new sets or rearrange old ones, but I think I have a solution. I'm going to utilize flat screws, brass threaded inserts, and felt washers to make this attachment reversible. So what I'll first do is lay out the pieces of the acrylic sheet and mark where I want the screws to eventually be. Acrylic sheets can be very fragile, and if you drill too fast or have the wrong drill bit, you can shatter the entire sheet. And acrylic sheets of this size can get really pricey, especially if you get thicker and thicker sheets. 1/4 inch I think is the right call, as it's just thick enough to be hefty, but not too thick to be so expensive, especially if I break one. So I'll drill holes at the top, middle, and bottom of each sheet. Then I'll line up the sheet with the cube organizer and mark where I want the threaded insert to be, and I'll drill a hole of a similar size on that mark. Then with a flathead screwdriver, I can twist in the threaded insert and have the perfect hole for my screw. If you've ever built pre-made furniture from Target or IKEA or even Amazon, you'll recognize these threaded inserts. They're the pre-made holes where screws can fit into. Finally, before screwing in the sheet, I'll add a felt washer to each screw to avoid unnecessary pressure and friction on the acrylic. And once you remove the protective film from the acrylic sheet, these things are crystal clear and they look fantastic. More importantly though, they are rock solid. I don't think my kid will be able to bend them or break the acrylic sheets, or even pull them off for that matter. Again, I was using magnets before, and now they're drilled into the actual shelving unit itself. But remember, I can take these on and off with ease simply by unscrewing the screw and leaving the threaded insert in the furniture, and then reattaching it when I'm done doing whatever work I want to do. Now, if you notice, I left a few things unprotected, uncovered with the acrylic sheets, 2 of which are cubes which will be housing units for my child's toys, one of which will hold her Duplo blocks, one of which will hold just generic toys I think she'll want to play with. I'm doing this because I've noticed with my child, if I give her a dedicated spot for toys that are specifically for her, she is less likely to destroy other things in search of fun. But the other thing I've left uncovered are my larger sets, like the Disney Castle, Daily Bugle, and Avengers Tower. Now, I could get some giant acrylic sheets, 36 by 36 inches, but 1, that'd be expensive, and 2, it'd be kind of boring. Instead, I'm gonna build some custom acrylic cases from FantasMall for each one of these sets to make them really pop and shine within my LEGO room. So first, let's unbox one of these FantasMall cases and see what's inside. All the contents in the package are wrapped with bubble wrap, and each acrylic sheet has a protective layer on both sides to avoid any damage occurring during shipping. Included in your package is your slotted base, your front and back panels, your side panels, your top panel, your bag of pieces, and your instruction manual, which can be opened up on your phone or your computer or just used as a regular instruction case. To build a case from FantasMall, you don't need any additional tools, which is nice, and if you're a fan of Lego, they're really easy to put together. You're really only doing one thing throughout the entire build process: finding a bracket, finding your tube, finding your pin, lining everything up, and snapping the pin into the tube until you hear a click. The connection with this pin and tube system is surprisingly sturdy, but of course when you only have two sheets together, it can get a little bit flimsy, so be sure to prop up your work until you have enough pieces attached to each other to make it a bit more sturdy. Now, there is one thing you want to note that could mess up the process if you're not too careful. The sides and front and back panels have a different amount of notches at the bottom. Some have only one notch, and some have two notches. Make sure you don't have two panels with a similar notch count in an L formation. You want them to be parallel from each other on the opposite sides. But once all your pieces are put together, you can simply line up your notches with your slots in the base, and your case from FantasMall is done. So with that, let's build two more cases. Really happy with how this turns out. It's clear, it's professional looking, it's pretty sturdy, and I think it'll be a great housing unit, a good home for my larger sets. Now, once the cases are built, I'm being rather careful to slide the set onto the black base and reattach the top acrylic shell. This is a step I really don't want to mess up because I don't want to knock anything off the top of the building by not lifting the shell high enough before placing it onto the base. And with the Disney Castle, there's one more step I need to consider, and that's the fact that the Disney Castle has a light kit, so I need to fish the wires in between the case and the shell to make sure I can still light up the Disney Castle. And thankfully, because of the thinness of the wires and the delicacy of the notch system with the FantasMall cases, I'm able to very easily fish all my wires through the case and allow my Disney Castle to be lit up and also protected by one of these cases. You'll notice also the Disney Castle case has a really nice backdrop printed onto the back panel. I love the fireworks, I love the look of it, it gives the display so much more life, especially with the lights. Now, not every FantasMall case has the option for a printed background, but a lot of them have the option for a different color base, black or white. You can visit FantasMall.com to see all the options for their cases. They're a really good price for the size that you're getting, they're well built, and I think they did a great job making my larger sets look professional, clean, and protected. So again, that's FantasMall.com. Check it out if you get a chance. With these new cases and acrylic sheets, I think this room looks much more professional and protected. But there are a few more things you can't see, at least in this shot, that I think need an upgrade too. First of which are my studio lights. I was originally using these lights from Releno to illuminate my setup, and they did a pretty good job. They're battery operated, rather inexpensive, and give off quite a bit of light for this size. But just because they're good, doesn't mean it can't be better. So I picked up these giant lights from GVM, a 3-pack, to allow myself to do a 3-point lighting system, that being fill, side, and backlight. And I first had these on light stands, but if I want this room to be easy to walk around in, especially for my toddler, I decided to instead mount them on the ceiling, and this looks so professional. I am really happy with how this look turns out. It feels like a studio that also can function as a room, and that's key. I think with my new ceiling mounted studio lights, that's mission accomplished. But there's one more kind of light I think I need to upgrade here. Every modular building in this room has a light kit, and while the kits themselves are really good, the power behind them is a bit spotty. So most of my city is powered by these 12-port Sabrent USB adapters, and for the most part it worked really well. You could plug this into an outlet and power 12 USB devices at one time. You could also daisy chain 2 of these together with the front USB port for 24 ports. For a while that did the trick. But there's one problem with this USB hub, and that's these buttons. So pressing down each button would illuminate and turn on 6 ports. But because the buttons are on springs, after a while, the tension on the spring would slowly reduce, causing the 2 contact points that complete the circuit to separate and not power the light kits anymore. And as these Sabret ports aged, I had to tape down or even use elastic to keep the button down to keep the circuit complete. These white USB hubs have a rocker switch, which lasts a lot longer than buttons. Think of any multi-port power strip. Those rocker switches can last a very long time. The other added benefit is because I have more USB hubs being plugged in via AC adapter, the lights are a lot brighter. Have you ever plugged in a vacuum next to a lamp and then turned the vacuum on? The lamp gets dim for a second? That's what was happening with my light kits. I had so many things plugged into very adjacent USB hubs that all the lights kind of had to separate and divide the power amongst themselves, making them dimmer. Now, that's no longer a problem, and it gives me the ability to expand my modular city, adding new buildings, without having to worry about dimming everything else. And after about 2 days of work, this Lego room is looking fantastic. It's pristine, professional, and also, hopefully, protected. So how about a room tour before we let my toddler run loose in here? Over on my far right hand side, we have some gift with purchase sets that I never got the chance to open or build. We have some castle sets, some holiday sets, Blacktron's Cruiser, Ray the Castaway. I probably will build these eventually, I just don't know when. Next to that is the newly cased Disney Castle set. This is the original 2016 variant with an added light kit and again a case from FantasMall.com. Next to the castle is the newly protected and reorganized cube shelves with my Marvel sets, custom Marvel minifigures, and at the very bottom my toddler's Duplo set so that she can build alongside me. We also have the lit up Hulkbuster from a couple years ago and some Star Wars sets. I have the BB-8 set my wife gave me as a birthday present when we first started dating, as well as 2 older Star Wars sets, Final Duel 1 and 2, back from 2002. I do have the original Millennium Falcon set, but that couldn't fit in the cube, it's way too big. Below the Star Wars cube are some older sets, back from the 70s and 80s. As well as 2 gift with purchases that I did build, and above all these cubes is the first wave of modular buildings, which I try to keep in release order as best I can, but sometimes I have to switch things around because of when a corner piece came out in release order. Above these buildings are some Marvel ships and some Harry Potter sets on a shelf. Now the shelf and Harry Potter sets will probably go away within a week or so as I'm donating a bunch of sets of mine to a local school because Lego can be a rather educational tool, and in that case, everyone should have the chance to experience the fun and joy of it. Moving on past the modular buildings, my 2 smaller minifigure display frames, Star Wars and Harry Potter. I'm not sure what the future of these collections will be, as I don't think I see myself buying a lot more Harry Potter sets, and Star Wars just gets rather pricey as that collection expands to, well, almost infinity. But for now, those are my collections and I'm quite proud of them. Behind me is the second slew of modular buildings, including a Ferris wheel set from a while back, the old Creator Line series. I used to have the Fairground Mixer, but I did sell it. Also in the alcove are some of my historical and rare minifigures, the first ever set of building block toys from the toy company Lego called Automatic Binding Bricks, and my custom-made Lego YouTube plaque back when I hit 3,000 subscribers. Back when I thought that was a big number, and here I am at over 50,000, I cannot thank you guys enough for watching the videos, liking, subscribing, supporting. It means the world to me, and I'm so glad you enjoyed the content. Back to the room tour. Tucked away in the back corner of that alcove is the Sanctum Sanctorum, one of the only Marvel modulars I have within my city because it kind of feels like an older building that fits within the modular line. The 2 other ones, the Daily Bugle and the Avengers Tower, are more skyscrapers, so they don't really fit within the aesthetic. Speaking of which, the Daily Bugle and Avengers Tower in their new pristine cases, I think they look fantastic here. They are protected, they are crisp, they are clean, and also they look rather professional. Now, high above those 2 buildings is a display case of some rare and older Lego pieces from before the age of plastic bricks. back when Lego made wooden toys. Next to that is a rather unique piece. It's a minifigure that's been to space. My wife found this auction on eBay for a minifigure that someone was selling that their grandfather worked on a space project, and this minifigure has been to orbit. And that is the level of uniqueness my wife has to go to find Lego presents I don't already have. Moving down to the second set of cube organizers, we have my collection of Lego idea sets. It's been a theme that I've kind of followed for quite some time, and I do have quite a few fond memories of building these sets when I was younger. And of course, on top of these cube organizers is the third wave of modular buildings. I really like how these newer ones look, like the museum and the jazz club with their light kits. On top of the modulars, we have some more Marvel ships, some of which might be moved or donated, as I kind of want to clear off that wall for some more minifigure display cases. As for what goes inside of that, I'll save that for a future video. And to my immediate left is my piano, which I love to play, and it has a bunch of sets on top of it, a lot of which are going to be donated to the school again, but the ones on the very top I'm keeping, such as the dried flower arrangement, the ship in the bottle, and my collection of DCEU minifigures. Towards the front of the room is my collection of Lego Marvel minifigures, which is one of my proudest achievements as a Lego collector. I love the way it looks and I'm so proud of it. Below that, however, is my Lego Office Mock, the culmination of almost a year of designing and building, and I'm really glad how that one turned out, and I'm happy to have it still on display in my Lego room. And then we have my desk, which I don't really show all that much, but there are some sets there too, like the Millennium Falcon, as I mentioned earlier, some old Lego Homemaker figures from 1970s, the Lego Wooden Duck set, a custom Lego build of my old logo I used to use for this channel, as well as custom minifigures made of myself and my wife, Lindsay. Above my computer desk is a giant mosaic of my face. It's a little bit egotistical, I'm not gonna lie. It's also kind of weird that every time I'm recording, I'm being watched by the camera, and also a giant version of my own face. And after 2 decades of collecting, years of moving and rearranging, and a couple months and days to organize, clean, and protect, my Lego room is ready for what I think will be its greatest challenge ever: unleashing my toddler to cause as much havoc and chaos as she wants to. Want that open? Ready? All these on? Yeah, look at that, how tall the tower is. Excuse you. Excuse you. Not gonna lie, that was kind of nerve-wracking, but in the end, rather fun to watch happen. I had a blast building Duplo with my daughter in my Lego room that will probably one day be her playroom too. I think in setting up the room the way I did, I avoided the pitfall, at least for now, of becoming the dad in the Lego movie. I don't want her to believe that all Legos are meant to be sealed behind acrylic cases. Legos have that odd property of being able to be played with and also displayed, and I want her to be able to appreciate both sides of the coin. So as she gets older, I might lift some of the acrylics off these cases, I might keep some on, and I hope she appreciates both sides of Lego as both a play and display toy. Either way, I would love to know what you guys think of my updated Lego room. Big thanks to FantasMall for providing the cases for the Disney Castle, Daily Bugle, and Avengers Tower. You can check out their site in the link in the description box down below. And as always, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.